Pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And we don't have any announcements or proclamations, so we'll move to appointments. Our 7 o'clock is a public hearing. Do I have a motion to open the public hearing for Hancock Court?
I move to open the public hearing for order and layout and street layout for Hancock Court.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained? I'll make a motion. Oh, what do you want?
See if anybody wants.
Oh, does anyone want to speak for this? Jim, is everything good?
Everything's in order, and the little packet I gave out to you, Carl Baldock, town engineer, and Rick Mattson are both here. We talked about this, everything is covered, and it's up to snuff, and it's ready to go to be accepted as town.
And the issue that came to us last week has been resolved.
I believe it has.
2 weeks ago.
I met with the person earlier, and I think we resolved the next day.
Great. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing with no one else to speak for this.
I'll make a motion,
Should we, do we need to adopt it first?
No, you can close it first.
Okay. Sorry, Ben.
that's okay. I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for order layout and street layout for Hancock Court.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? 400.
I'll make a motion to adopt the order of layout for Hancock Court for Station 6 plus 70.65 to 1118.47.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? 400.
I'll make a motion to sign the order of layout documents and plans for Hancock Court.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
400.
I'll make a motion to have the written layout documents and plan on file in the town clerk's office.
I'll second that.
Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? 400. And 7:10, we'll move on. Wines and More, change of stockholders. Anyone here to speak for that? Come on up. You could just say your name, and you are looking for,
Craig Power. We were asked to come here, you guys wanted to meet Kathleen as the new stockholder, shareholder, sole shareholder.
great. Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourselves and,
Well, I'm one of the original ones. There was 5 investors, and I just purchased and bought them out. So I've been running it anyway.
great. And Cindy, is there anything to do with the papers?
Nope, everything's in order.
Anyone on the board want to say anything? Or
No,
Ed?
paperwork was great. Good luck with the business.
Thank you.
David?
Nope. That's it.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the change of officers and ownership interest for Wines and More.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks for coming in. Chief? Johnny, you want to come up?
Good evening. Tonight, I'd like to introduce you to police officer candidate Richard Ordway for your consideration in the position of police officer. Richard grew up in Walpole. He's a 2013 graduate of Walpole High School. And I'm feeling very old again. One of his first jobs was working for the Walpole Rec. Actually, I think he may have worked on the Patrick Shield, right? When Pat was there. He has a bachelor's in criminal justice from Plymouth State University. He's currently a public safety officer at BU Medical Center in Boston, And he came very highly recommended by his peers and his command staff, as well as other staff that we were able to locate there. We did obviously a very extensive background check, and he's one of the first people that I can ever remember that we couldn't find any dirt on at all. We couldn't get anyone to say anything bad about him. Everybody thinks he would be a great fit for the Walpole Police Department, the town of Walpole. He's very personable and mature, and very comes with experience, having worked at BU Medical Center. Obviously, he has seen some situations already that he's had to deal with, high-stress situations, and he's handled those situations very well. So he holds himself to a high standard. Certainly, through the interview process, we were able to establish that he does understand the community policing philosophy very well, and would be able to apply that here in Walpole, which is obviously always a very good point for us. So if I could introduce you to Richard, come on.
Hi, I'm Richard Ordway. Lived in Walpole my whole life. Like Chief said, I'm a graduate 2013 from the high school, 2017 from the state. Really looking forward to get out in the community, meet everybody, learn the ways, and I'm just looking forward to it all, and I thank you for the opportunity.
Great, and Mark, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, I would just say, I always like it when somebody local, especially if they're from Walpole, gets to join the force, because you bring a lot of knowledge. I saw you successfully made it through the Recreation Department for 2 years, so that's awesome in and of itself. So you got to meet a lot of the younger kids, you know, than you, so congratulations and welcome.
Thank you.
Ben?
Thank you.
David?
So you have a bachelor's in criminal justice, and you've been doing it for over a year and a half at BU Medical.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell me some incident where you feel like you, that happened at work, that you feel like you brought your education to bear, or something, you have a war story that you can tell us that?
Well, there are a lot of situations kind of daily that we're put in that are maybe hectic or chaotic, but a lot of it comes down to I have a minor in psychology and sociology, and I think that plays more into factor when it comes to families and high-strung situations. It's good to have a little background and be able to have some knowledge on the subject and be able to talk to them in a different way than you would other people.
And police work seems to be becoming more and more social work as well, so that's interesting that you had those as a minor. Great, thanks.
I just wanted to say welcome. We have three of the same things. I went to Walpole High, I was a lifeguard for the rec department, and I'm still at BMC for 22 years. So, welcome to our other family. That being said, I will entertain a motion.
Put forward a motion to approve to approve Richard Ordway as a police officer for the town of Walpole.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? 400. All right, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, John.
Okay, moving on. Atna Easton Pearl, seeking renewal of parking license for 80 spaces. Do you want to come on up? And just, again, your name and address for the record.
Alex Then, live in North Diablo. North Diablo. So basically I have two restaurants, one in Walpole, the other one in West Bridgewater.
Okay. And Cindy,
Yes,
so this is a license that the previous owner had had,
that's correct.
and then just hadn't been renewed,
Right, he did not renew it.
or know that he needed to renew it, or?
Well, he kinda knew, but, he didn't do it.
Okay.
But, they thought that the license, the permit they had was still good, but it expired in 2018. So I contacted him to tell him that in order to have parking, they needed to own the parking lot.
And all the parking is the same and hasn't
Exactly
changed?
the same, 80 vehicles, that's all they could park all the time, yeah. And I talked to Mike Yanovich, and he said it's allowed in that district, so he didn't need to do anything else.
David, do you have any
So it's up to you
questions?
guys.
The previous one, when did that expire?
2018, December 31st, 2018. And you'll have to renew, because this one will expire December 31st, 2019. You'll have to renew.
So that's a good
2020.
point. You
He
understand
knows
that?
that, yeah,
yeah,
I told
but-
him.
Okay.
I told him.
Mark?
Yeah, I'm good. No questions.
Okay, that being said, I'll entertain a motion.
Okay, before the motion to approve the request of Alex Deng at an Eastern Pearl located at 2275 Providence Highway to hold a parking lot license for Gillette Stadium events for 80 parking spaces. The permit must be posted when parking is taking place so that police and town official can see that they have permission to park vehicles during the event.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? For discussion, I just wanted you to know, because I know you haven't been the owner for that long, that we also, as a board, have given our police chief the ability to open lots whenever he wants to, which means it could be early due to traffic backup. So at any point during events, if you were told, say you only open at a certain time, and if you were told that you can open and you should open and start parking cars to alleviate traffic, that is out there, and that's, practice. I don't know how often he does it or not, but just because you're a newer owner, I wanted you to know that there is that ability and that could happen. But otherwise, it's the set times that it is.
I'm okay with it.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Nope.
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Opposed? Abstain? 400. Good luck.
Good luck.
Want to go to new business? Because it's not 7:35 yet. The new charge for the Townhouse Reuse Committee, does anyone have any comments or want to put forward a motion?
I just have one in the membership, first line. Says the Townhouse Reuse Committee will have 7 members, but it looks like it's gonna have 12.
Oh, you want 12?
Well, that's what it looks like.
Or
'Cause it
because of the
says-
people, because it,
Yeah, it says you're gonna have one nominated
Oh, should be
by Economic
4,
Development,
right?
one Planning Board, one Historical, as well as 9 at-large members. So one of those numbers has to change.
If I could, just having problems in the past with the forms, it could create a challenge with having 9 at-large members.
I'm just trying to get the math to add up, so I don't care if the number's lower. How many do we want to have? I like 7 as a number, so I would just change that 9 to a 4, that way we could
Right, I
get
think,
to 7.
9 to a 4?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I
David?
got that from the last paper we had.
That's fine.
Okay.
Change it. Cool.
Other than that, I don't have any, I like it, so.
Good?
I agree.
All right.
All right, so I make a motion to approve the charge for the Townhouse Reuse Committee, inclusive of the revision to make the total of 9 members.
7.
Seven.
Revised to 7. No.
It will stay 7 members, but in the text, it talked about 9 at-large members. We're saying it's 4 at-large members now.
Oh, okay, okay.
So
All right, I'll take 2.
I'll second that.
Motion to approve the charge for the Townhouse Reuse Committee, inclusive of the revision to have the at-large members revised from 9 to 4.
I'll re-second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, 400. We're gonna move on to the Farmer Series pouring license. And some background, Cindy realized that we just didn't have that
Yeah.
fee, and so in doing the research and comparing, as we have in the past, with what other towns are doing, to be consistent for a fee schedule, Cindy has come up with the $550 So if you would like, if someone would like to entertain a motion and discuss it, or if somebody is not comfortable and wants to discuss it before a motion.
So this is for, if I may.
This is for the winery, Devavino. They turned in their wine and malt license to us. That one was over $1,000 a year. When I went to an ABCC meeting, I was sitting next to the girl from Westport, Mass. They have a couple of wineries, and that's the fee they charge.
So this is for, the only thing they can serve is
Wine,
wine that they've made on the premises?
that's correct.
Okay,
And they are making wine on the premises, yeah.
so that,
He was also ask about selling.
Yeah,
He never
Al
brought the
Tenapoli was
law-
here earlier today, he mentioned that he specializes in this type of law, and he said that I have to ask for permission from the Board of Selectmen to be able to sell his own wine at the winery. He's gonna have 10 different kinds of wines, and I believe he's going to submit that request. It's a letter that he has to submit the next meeting.
So you're talking about selling what he's pouring or selling bottles?
Selling a bottle.
Because that's very common, that you can go into a small winery and
Yeah.
taste something and then purchase a bottle or two.
I
So,
would think that'd be the point.
yeah, I'm in favor of that whole idea. That will help.
I mean, what would be the point of making
Making the wine.
if you can't sell it, right?
so what,
I didn't get that.
so what is is there a different retail license that they'll need for the selling of the closed bottles?
I don't know, I haven't done any research on that one. I could find out. I've got a couple weeks.
Yep.
I think that 550 covers it both, to be honest with you.
So the category from the ABCC is,
It's called Farmer Series Pouring License.
so they must have, it may already include retail.
Yeah, he had to go through the state first, then he had to go to the ABCC, then he had to come to us, and then it goes back to the ABCC.
Jeez.
It's a very strange process.
All right.
I'm still learning,
Okay.
because we do have had a winery in town before, so.
I think you did a great job,
Thank
Cindy.
you.
All right, motion?
Put forward a motion to establish a fee for $550 for a Farmer Series pouring license.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstain, 400. And a request for a one-day all alcohol license for the Knights of Columbus on 9/21/19. Is everything in order there, Cindy?
Yes, it is.
All righty, a motion?
Motion to approve the one-day all alcoholic license for Knights of Columbus for September 21st, 2019.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstain, 400. And then we'll talk about Chapter 90 reimbursement request for Coney Street.
This is the request for Coney Street, the total is $49,600. It's the standard form, Rick put it together along with help from Don up at his office. Jody signed off on it, and now it's at the board so we can get reimbursed here. Everything in line, guys?
All right, would anyone like to make a motion?
Make a motion to approve and sign the Chapter 90 reimbursement request for Coney Street in the amount of $49,600.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Say aye. Opposed, abstained, 400. And then we'll move on to bid contract number 2020-07, water treatment chemicals for various bidders. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I make a motion to award bid contract number 2020-07 to the low qualified bidders for water treatment chemicals for the unit prices bid.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400. We'll move on to the Norfolk County Aggie School to use the old Fisher Ball Field on October 6th. I'll entertain a motion.
Put forward a motion to approve the request of the Norfolk County Aggie High School to use Old Fisher Ball Field October 6th for their open house.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400. We have an entertainment permit for a block party.
Motion to approve the request for live DJ entertainment permit and block party on September 29th,
I'll second.
2019 at Thornell Avenue from 12 PM to 5 PM.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We have a request for a live band.
Motion to approve the request for a live band at 5 Brook Street on September 28th, 2019, subject to music ending at 9 PM.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400. And then we have,
Let me do this one.
okay,
So we appointed 2 new members, or one existing member, Eric Kraus, and one new member, Gene Kenny, to the Walpole Media Board. I made an error a couple of years ago on the date. So if we stay with the dates that we used in the past, they wouldn't be able to vote at their first official meeting. So this is a motion just to fix the date. And then forever going forward, this date will be a good date. So it's a motion to change the starting and ending date for selectmen appointees, the Walpole Media, to the 3rd Thursday in September instead of October 20th.
I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400. And still early. So, okay, now do we need to mention names here for another motion, or is that okay? You know what I mean, because of names and they already had dates, or does that change it? You know, like do we need to change our appointees' official?
Do you need to take a vote, you mean? You
Yes.
could if you want to. You can
I'm
do
just
that.
wondering where, I know you changed all of that, but we appointed them last, does it matter, do you think?
Well, I think with the motion we just revoted, Cindy can adjust their terms
Yeah, I'll.
and
Okay.
notify them.
Perfect, I just want to make sure they don't have any trouble with that.
So those positions are open right now, though, right?
No, we
Yeah.
fill,
We
Filled
filled them
them.
last meeting.
Right, I'm sorry, they were filled before they were empty before we filled them, the date was just wrong.
so Nancy O'Neill and Eric are currently operating on the previous term,
Okay.
Right,
which will go until October
20th.
20th.
Right.
We just appointed the new people at October 20th, but we need to get the new people reappointed in time. I screwed up the dates a couple of years ago, is what it comes down
No,
to.
I get that. I just want to make sure they're okay.
But Nancy O'Neill, her current term end in October 20th?
If you
Yes,
vote it.
and she's going to resign.
Yeah.
Okay,
Just to
So
help
ju-
out and
just
make
to
it
help
work.
make the
Okay.
dates work.
that's fine, that was the only
And
issue.
she's
I
fully
was
on board
thinking.
with,
Okay.
Yes,
it's not her term anymore, so she would like the new person appointed.
Yeah,
So
I'm
that's,
just waiting
that was
because
the
we
date.
went with a date as opposed to a
That's correct.
third
And
Thursday.
Eric's a reappointment, so it doesn't.
Eric's a
matter.
reappointment.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
that's the only question
Yeah.
I kind of was
So
lingering there.
his term right now won't expire to the 20th, but the next term will go to the 3rd.
So it's all
Which is- which
housekeeping.
is still the same, which is the same as this year. It's
Yeah.
funny how it works out, but
Okay,
it's kind of
So now Cindy has us back in sync, so.
there we
Good.
go. Now we're good. Now we're good with the calendar.
Wait, not the town clerk.
So now we're gonna move on to some of the articles. We could do one or two, maybe?
Sure.
And so, discussion of fall town meeting, Article 8 and 9. Jim?
Article 8 and 9 relate to stabilization of OPEB. I provided, right now, currently, we have about a balance of 4.7 million in change in stabilization, and OPEB has a balance of $3.7 million. What's being recommended by the Finance Committee is $300,000 from free cash into stabilization, and $292,000 of free cash into the OPEB balance. We came up with $392,000 using the formula, the plan that was agreed to last October, when the Board of Selectmen, Finance Committee, and School Committee met in this room. And we're just trying to stick to it, so we keep up with the plan there and hopefully get us fully funded in 2030s or early 2040s.
So do you want these voted separate or together?
Separate would be great.
Separate, yeah.
I'll
you
make a
can vote
motion
separate.
to vote favorable action for Article 8.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 400. I'll make a motion to vote favorable action, Article 9.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, 400. And we can move on to Article 10, school transfer.
School transfer, this amount totals $592,871. This is for the amount collected for the student parking fees and the Medicaid reimbursement. I know just last year, we collected some money for McKinney-Vento, but that money actually came in too late into the fiscal year, actually came in this fiscal year, so it's only those two items.
I'll make a motion for favorable action, Article 10.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain?
Opposed?
Opposed? Did you want to go back to the discussion?
No.
Okay. Abstain? So, 3-1-0.
Sure.
Article 11, BOA.
Article 11 requests an amount from overlay for the Board of Assessors to hire a firm to come in and conduct the evaluation of the business, commercial side of things. So this will just allow them to bring in a consultant, work with Dennis, work with the Board of Assessors. Finance Committee voted favorable action, 14-0-1 on that.
I'll make a motion favorable action, Article 11.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
So, I have some questions.
Okay.
So what is the cost of this gonna be approximately?
It's going to be, funding sources overlay. The amount is $50,000.
And how was this done in the past?
It was done through hiring a consultant, bringing in this third party. It's not done every year, it's done every 3 to 5 years.
I see. And what happens if a new business comes in and
In the interim,
yes,
Dennis assigns a value to it. This basically allows them to come in and certify those values that have been assigned. It basically serves as a watchdog to make sure that he's doing it the right way.
so this is business equipment, the value of business equipment, or,
Business, personal property, yes.
okay,
Any other discussion? Are you all set, David?
that's fine.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain?
Oh, I'm sorry, aye.
Oh, where were you aye? Which one? For, opposed, or abstain?
I'm for. I'm
Okay, 4-0-0.
for. I was just still, I was on the next one already.
All right, you're already ahead of us.
I'm just thinking.
All right, moving on to Article 13, Water and Sewer Commissioner's request. I'll make a motion for favorable action.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Yes. This article, you may recall, it was on the last year's town meeting. It's something that's on every 1 or 2 years. It allows the sewer and water commissioners to go out and get a low-interest loan to address the I&I, which is the inflow and infiltration with the sewer system through the MWRA. Anything else, Rick, am I missing?
No, it's actually a zero interest loan, so that's even better.
Even better.
So it's 75% grant, 25% loan.
Any other discussion, board members? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 4-0-0. Article 16 is street acceptance. I'll make a motion for favorable action, Article 16.
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Is that the one we did tonight?
Yes.
Hancock, yes. Long time coming. I was on the planning board then. Yes, my name's on that plan too. So, no discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstain. 4-0-0. Article 17, Veterans Exception. I'll make a motion favorable action.
I'll second that.
So this is a veterans exemption that the veterans group had come to Dennis and the Board of Assessors asking to extend to Walpole. Basically, right now, the way it's written, you have to live in Walpole 6 months prior to qualifying for veterans exemption. So someone who's lived here 30 years, if you didn't live here 6 months before then, you don't qualify through veterans exemptions. It makes it quite hard for the families and especially the widows to go back and collect the exemptions if the person passes away. So, again, it's just make it a bit easier for them and just to help the veterans.
Any further discussion?
So, is it in the state, is the state law authorizing us to have this
We
exemption?
can accept it. It's one of those where we have to accept the exemption.
Okay, and does, that state law indicate the residency time, or is it?
I know I have it in one of these notes there. Sorry.
In the Jim Johnson binder. Yeah.
Can I get your clarification on that?
Sure, because I just
want
want to make sure that we're compliant with the authorization from the state to grant the exemption.
I'll make a motion to table that while we do the gifts.
Well, for another-
Sure.
And,
we'll do the gifts. This is the consent agenda. They will be voted as one motion. These are gifts, the first set of gifts to COA, is it? Okay. Gifts from Mike and Mary Garrity, Terrence Nolan and Elizabeth Wilson, Jean and Robin Shalene, Tom and Mary Ellen Hanley, Don and Kathleen Langhorst, Alan and Rose Walsh. All of those are to the Council on Aging, I believe. The following are gifts to Recreation, Walpole Cooperative Bank in the amount of $3,500. And the John Langley Foundation, the Smiling Eyes Scholarship in the amount of $15,664.20. Gifts to the Fire Department from Elizabeth Ryan. Gifts, Police Department gifts from the Junior Women's Club of Walpole for the community policing in the amount of $1,000.
I'll second that.
I would just like to add for discussion that all these gifts are wonderfully accepted, so kind and generous. And constantly Walpole is stepping up and donating, which is lovely. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstained, 400. And while Jim is still typing away, I will make a motion to approve the minutes of August 6, 2019.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of August 20th workshop.
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of August 20th, 2019.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I will make a motion to approve the minutes of September 3rd, 2019.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of workshop for September 3rd, 2019.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So all 400. And the hour being 7:35, I will open it up for open forum to a packed room. The ghost room. And all right, so with that being said, there's nobody here for open forum. Everyone is home, staying away from the mosquitoes. We'll move on to the town administrator's report.
Okay. So, a bunch of items. Stadium parking. I've attached the letter that was delivered to Walpole residents today regarding the parking enforcement of the town bylaws. That was hand-delivered to about 100 households today. We also gave it out to the church there, right around the common. We're gonna have the message board for the police department informing the residents that enforcement bylaws will begin this weekend. I've had Mike Donovan put it out on Twitter. Police are gonna post it on their Facebook page. So we're trying to let people know that we're gonna start picking up enforcement down there and do what we can to limit that. We've received an exceptional amount of complaints going back to the first preseason game, so if the board's okay with that, we're gonna start doing that.
Yeah, I can speak that my phone has been blowing up with complaints. And then I was driving one of my son's friends home through South Walpole, and to see people standing in the street with flashlights and signs charging for parking and calling you into parking lots and driveways when, there's two ways of thought. There's people that want the parking, and, I was one of them. That came years ago when I was part of Boyden School PAC, that we looked at it as a way that we could have raised enough money to support that PAC, and that would have been the only fundraiser that Boyden School would have had to do. And it was in neighborhood meetings doing our due diligence, it was shot down. Neighbors came out from all over saying they didn't want it. So what's good for one has to be good for other, and it does have to be fair. And the rule right now is that we don't do that in South Walpole. Honestly, I hadn't, like everybody else, I avoid going as far in as I don't have to, living there. And so when I did see that, I can see why neighbors are very upset. I do also think this is a great opportunity for the people that are parking, if they want to revisit again and look for a change, and maybe talk to the Boyden School PAC. And again, it still could be a great way to raise money for the school without actually having the burden go back on to parents, attending fundraisers and really paying for their own fundraising. But what is good for one has to be good for everybody else, is my thought. So I understand why we have to send this letter out, and anyone else have anything they want to add?
I did have a couple of people reach out to me today once they saw those letters. And it was sort of mixed. Some don't want any parking, some do want the parking. And I suggested to them that if they really did want to revisit, and they were talking about the church in Boyden specifically, I said you should bring it up as an issue with the Board of Selectmen, come talk to us. I said, but it's unrealistic to think we're going to do it next week for the following week. So it's really next season. If you really have an interest in this, come back in the winter after the Patriots season, and we can open it up as a discussion. Because I know there's a lot of emotion on both sides of the issue, so. That area is just so congested. It's dangerous at night with people walking through cars, limos, trying to double park and all that, so it's a bad spot.
Yeah, I agree, and I was there, like I said, trying to get that money for the Boyden PAC, and then I'm the same person sitting in traffic trying to get home from work and getting frustrated, so I have my own conflict, and I get it. Ben?
Yeah, I just wanted just clarification, Jim, and I read this letter and I just want to make sure. So the folks that were in here from the restaurant Easter Pearl, are out on Providence Highway, so they're in a different,
The highway business district.
right, so it's a different district, so they're allowed to apply for a permit.
And they have to pay both
Yep.
us and the state.
And in the residential districts where these houses are located, you aren't allowed to park and you can't apply for a permit unless they-
we changed the zoning bylaws.
The zoning
That's what
bylaw would have
the
to be
research
changed.
we did was the Boyden.
Yeah.
What, really, the biggest thing was you needed to change the zoning in that area, and no one really had the appetite for it, at the time, to do it.
So like if the church thought it would be good for fundraising, they would need to propose or go through the motions to propose a zoning bylaw change.
Yes.
Okay.
And going back, there were two things. It could also be separated, that we could say that the church and the school could look for zoning relief and to be able to do it if they choose to not want to let neighbors, or it could be a collective neighborhood thing and they can all do it. But right now, for highway business, we have Sunshine, the restaurant.
We currently have 6.
Is it 6 total?
We have 6 total.
Yeah, 6 total, all basically that whole little chunk heading down Route 1. And then some more history, when I was mentioning that he could be asked to open his lot early, And some of that thinking is when we were having the serious traffic problems on Washington Street, that Chief Carmichael could say, open those lots, even though the stadium wasn't opening theirs, so they would have gone down Pine, down Route 1, and all 6 of our lots actually would have gotten early primetime parking, so it would have actually been beneficial to our businesses and then have alleviated some of South Walpole.
Thanks.
David?
So my concern is, we have the signs that say, okay, no local access to the stadium area. If we start to allow parking in that area, we're reversing our thoughts on that, because we're gonna be sending people in that direction. And if we do it now, I think we're now gonna find, okay, there's just a few houses around the church, around the center, but you could see that expanding back deeper and deeper into the neighborhoods.
And I think it has. That's the problem.
Right, down Summer, up Washington, you know, Jason's Path, you could see it just getting bigger and bigger, and then all those issues with people crossing through yards and all of those things late at night. It's not what I don't think anybody wants. So, you know, I don't see how someone can expect, if they live in a residential area, that, because they happen to be close to the stadium, that they deserve a bonus, and financial bonus by renting out their space. It's just not allowed, and it's not going, you know, it's the opposite of what we're trying to do down there in relation to stadium events. We're trying to keep people out of the neighborhood. If we offer parking in that neighborhood, you're not gonna keep people out of the neighborhood.
Right. I know, and the way Mr. Kraft deals with it with his Foxborough residents and how he sets up people checking neighborhoods to not get into neighborhoods, but yet he does allow certain people on certain roads to park, but yet he collects fees. It's just amazing that it can be such a double standard, but yet we get the traffic.
Well, yeah, and the other
Always.
side of it is, I understand why you don't open it up ahead of time. And I understand they have a new lot that where they're allowing people, it's cheaper, but you have to stay an hour later. You can't go out into the traffic, they have to wait in there. But also, when you go to those events, it's amazing how many people are taking up 2 and 3 spots, and they don't fill these spots. And, you know, they just allow it. There has to be a way to get these people off the roads and into those parking lots. I know the Patriots people know the deal. They get there, they time it right. It's those other events like the
Thursday night concerts.
Yes, and the
Preseason games are bad, too.
yeah. 'cause
So many
other
newbies,
people-
yeah.
And then the
Soccer.
soccer's not bad because they usually don't fill unless it's the World Cup games, but the Country Fest, where thousands of extra people show up without tickets, and they don't know, they're there way before the lots open, so, but anyway, but it's sending mixed messages by allowing people to park in that neighborhood, and it's not a good message. It's bad enough right now with the Uber and all of those guys sneaking back there. And, you know, frankly, I do it, get my kids, if my kids are at a concert, I sneak down there. It's, you know, gonna pick them up along that area. But we don't want tons of people coming in from Norwood and surrounding towns looking for parking in that neighborhood.
Route 1 Hayfields, bid came in favorable. I attached the cost breakdown of that one. That was recommended by FinCom last night, 15-0. And we're gonna go forward with the proposed motion that's in here. That breaks down the 7 different funding sources to be presented to town meeting. Also, the Finance Committee voted to support all the capital budget, which is favorable for the various committees and everything. They are recommending a couple of items at town meeting, most specifically the Darwin Lane, which is a land purchase that's being considered by the Sewer and Water Commissioner. The appraisal is supposed to receive that on Friday or Monday, the next week or so, and they want to vote on that, depending on what the Sewer and Water Commissioners vote. Article 18 is sponsored by Joe Boraski. Council's explained that it's not legal what is being proposed, so they haven't taken a position on that one. And 19 and 20 relate to select person or chairpersons versus selectmen and chairmen. And there's still a lot of questions that the finance committee members have regarding that, so we decided not to take a vote on that at this time.
Okay, and
Legislative update. Jim had reached out to me, he knew he wasn't gonna make tonight, but he did ask me to mention to all of you that he'd like to invite the legislators in sometime before the holidays. They'd like to have, as an agenda topic for all of you to discuss, some discussion topics that you'd like to go over with them. So just start thinking about that. I think he's gonna put that on one of the upcoming agendas. And the big one is Summer Street 40B. As you all know, we received an application in for a 300-unit 40B project located on 5155 Summer Street. That is the site across from the post office on the opposite side of the tracks. There's going to be a site walk there on September 25th at 10 a.m. And I encourage board members to attend that if you could do so. I'd like to have all of you provide me with some insight and your thoughts on that. And I know you're going to be asked about it. I'm sure you already have been asked about it. Our comments are due into Mass Housing by October 14th. The developer did reach out to me today and asked to hold a public outreach session for the all Walpole residents, but I'm sure mostly South Walpole residents would be interested in it. So they can provide their input directly to the developer on this project, which I'm actually pleased that they're offering to do this. I've checked with the school department to check the Boyden School availability. I just want to make it a little bit more convenient for residents down there. So we're looking at probably October 2nd or 3rd as potential dates, and I made it clear that, you know, this is going to be their meeting. I didn't want it to appear as though the board's taking a position for or against this, and we'll go from there. And so if you could get me any comments you have by October 4th, I'm going to work with town council. We're going to work with the housing consultant that will pay for the cost, because this is such a big project that they'll be working for us to submit our comments to the state. So.
I have one comment. With that meeting, it is a nice gesture for them to do that. Maybe we could put signboards up, but also to be clear, to make sure that it says, you know, developer
Omni Properties
hosting, exactly.
Does anyone have a problem?
Mark?
That's a good idea. Yeah, I like that they've offered to do that.
They have offered to pay to rent the building, so I'll take that too.
Absolutely. And Ben, do you have anything?
Not on the Summer Street 40B, but on the legislative update, Jim and us kind of brainstorming suggested topics for discussion. And I mean, I'd love to hear your input on topics as well, or from your department heads on things that the town is facing in areas that influence the town, you know, government and administration as well.
Well, I'm sure a lot of 40B items will be discussed.
That's perfect.
But also, and I'll shoot you a couple of ideas, but unfunded mandates is still an open issue, you know, that affects the town through the schools, so.
Right. David?
Well, one of the things that I've seen coming up is that we talked about the fact that none of our enforcement efforts for speeding or for violations of ordinances, none of the results, none of the penalties end up in the funds of the town. And I wonder if there's a way, I know it's going to need statewide work, but we should change the way that enforcement is done so that, because I think for often, for instance, we only do seatbelt enforcement when we get a grant for seatbelt enforcement, or we only do cell phone enforcement, you know, when we have a grant, or even so. It will incentivize us to give the police more time doing these things if the money's coming back to the town. And right now, the only way we have to we have to take extra effort to bring it to the district courts, and then the money goes into the state funds, and we never see any of it. So it's kind of a big global issue, but it just doesn't make any sense to me that, you know, we don't get some of that. That's, you know, at least a part of that, or at least that's my understanding, that we don't get any. And, you know, I think if we incentivize this town and other cities and towns to do their own enforcement of speeding issues and things like that, I think it would go a long way to people putting more effort into that. And that could be something we could discuss. That's it.
All right, that, so are we leaving 17 tabled?
Yeah, I figured that question.
Okay, so,
Table it, and your specific request was, how long do you have to live here?
Just as long as, I just want to make sure, and I've tried to find the legislation too, as long as the enabling legislation allows us to get rid of the time period. If the enabling legislation says you have to be there 6 months, and obviously we can't change it.
and Cindy, instead of it being tabled, would you rather us just withdraw it so it's not there?
It's there anyways,
It's
because
there.
you started it,
Finance committee voted for it.
so I'll just
Okay.
put that it was tabled.
Okay. All right, so, anyone have any new business, old business, no business?
New
Time to go
business.
business?
Time to go business.
All right, so but before we do go, there's things that we have to sign.
Get that with that.
Make a motion.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.